All right, so we're gonna record some NHL videos today. We're gonna have Bagdonis help me with some of this stuff. I just have a couple rants. We're gonna cut them into three separate videos. So if there's no special intro for the other ones, revert to the first video. I hate intro paragraphs. I write too many articles to care about an intro paragraph. Anyway, that's another side rant. So topic number one today, I just want to talk about the Edmonton Oilers decision to just not match Philip Broberg. So I thought the Dylan Holloway one was a coin flip for me. Like, I understood the argument against, I understood the argument for. The Broberg one makes no fucking sense to me. I think this is a massive, massive mistake by the Edmonton Oilers, and they're probably going to suffer the consequences for it. And it's a shame because, man, like we go into the offseason. Well, let's just start there. We go into the offseason and McDavid's happy. Like, we go into the offseason. Connor McDavid, he's actually happy about the offseason. Like, he's actually happy about what happened. And as he should be. They kept Connor Brown. They kept Adam Henrique, Corey Perry, Matthias Janmark. But they also added Jeff Skinner and Victor Arvidsson for reasonable contracts. And then they made this crazy trade for Matthew Savoy, clearing McLeod's cap. So I thought Jeff Jackson did a tremendous job. They give the job to Stan Bowman. I don't know if this was some kind of revenge for, hey, you were an asshole, so take this up your pipe and smoke it sort of thing for what happened with the Chicago Blackhawks and Bowman getting the job. But holy shit, man. I just think they totally botched the situation. So and again, it wasn't an easy one to jump into. But anyway, let's start here. I wrote this post July 18th. And if I was a GM of another team, I was putting an offer sheet in for Philip Broberg. Now, a month later, the Blues actually did. I think I would have beat him to the punch, but that's another story for another day. This guy was really good during the playoffs. Like, do you guys watch the games? Again, I don't want to go into, I'm not a hockey coach, but shit, man. Like, did you notice the difference when Darnell Nurse played with Cody Ceci and then when Darnell Nurse played with Philip Broberg? Philip Broberg was really, really good in the playoffs. Former first-round pick. He might have been the best player in their game 7. He's only getting better, young, cheap. $4 million for a defenseman. Can't complain with that. But anyway, let's get into what Stan Bowman said, because I think he really mismanaged this. And again, the Holloway one, I understand why they did what they did. They're going to go with Pop Colson, who hopefully is a slightly worse version of Holloway. I probably would have tried to match Holloway just because I think he actually gives a shit about the defensive end. He's a puck hound. He's got some speed to him. The offense should keep going up as he gets older. So I would have really tried to keep Holloway, but I understand why they did that. This is more about Broberg to me, which is always why I was in on the offer sheet from the jump. So he talks about relative to our short-term and long-term viability for our roster and salary cap. Like, he basically goes on and he said we looked at all the scenarios and we felt like this gives us more flexibility. I just don't know how that's possible. I just don't know how that's possible. I'm going to explain why. So when we go into the Oilers cap sheet, this is now Puckpedia, RIP cap friendly. So the Oilers this is how much cap space they have. $945,000 in cap space. Like, what flexibility are you going to possibly claim that you have with $945,000 in cap space? Like, that's not flexibility. So you didn't match the offer sheet so that you could have flexibility, but you still don't have flexibility. Like, if I was arguing with Stan Bowman on this one, I would say, okay, we're more flexible. How? Show me what roster move we can make with the $945,000 that makes us a better team than if we had Broberg. Good luck finding a player for $945,000 that makes that to be the case. This is the bottom line. And again, you would have been over the cap if you signed Broberg. right? So I know that's the question that you're asking. But you had an opportunity here to fucking get away with it. You had an opportunity to just go ahead and pull Vegas Golden Knights and say, okay, Evander Kane. And let's just do that. Evander Kane, LTIR. He's been placed on LTIR. He's been placed on LTIR. Isn't this the perfect like this right here is the epitome of why the Oilers just totally botched this thing. Evander Kane's on LTIR, which if you don't know how hockey works, that means if he's not able to suit up and he's on LTIR, that means you get his money as cap space. It's written in the CBA. Like if you're not exploiting every rule of the CBA, you're only hurting yourself. So $5.125 million cap hit on LTIR. Going to miss multiple months of the season, which again, he was hurt in the playoffs. He missed multiple games in the playoffs. He was really hurt dealing with a hip. I think he had a hernia too. I don't know 100% what's wrong with him. They always hide hockey injuries, but I think it was a hip and some kind of hernia, but we're not 100% sure. But he had surgery. He's going to be out multiple months. So if we go back, you got his 5.21, which it's not accounting for right now. Okay. But his 5.21, you get as cap space. What Stan Bowman is essentially saying is we think he's going to be back before the end of the regular season. Maybe that's the case. Maybe that's the case. But that's a tomorrow problem. That should be a tomorrow problem because what happens if Arvidsson goes down for the year? Well, even if Kane comes back, I still got the money. What happens if Skinner goes down? Like, I'm not going to suffer one injury. This is the problem with Bowman's plan. This 5.21 is giving you an out to get Broberg back. Like, you don't have to do anything. This right here, his LTIR money, which again, add that into it. Now we got oodles of cap space, which Broberg's offer sheet. Where's Broberg's offer sheet? Let me I guess we'll pull that up. Okay, so Broberg's 4.58, blah blah blah. $1 less than the comp, you know. So this money is less than Kane's money. You had the room. You had the room with Kane going on LTIR. And by the way, let me show this. So Blues cap sheet. Can we pull this up? Blues cap sheet. Might have to go back to Puckpedia for that. Teams. Let me go back to Puckpedia for that. Teams were the Blues. The Blues did what you weren't willing to do, is the point. So Krug gonna miss the year. Or most likely miss the year. Or probably miss the year. But his money is what you're using for Broberg. And you're putting him in the spot in the lineup. So here you go. Here's Krug 6'5". That covers Broberg and Holloway. That's why they made the offer sheet, because they don't have to pay Krug this year. Like, do you understand what I'm trying to say here? What the Oilers didn't do is what the Blues were willing to do. And that's why they have both players. Like, this is the real problem that I have with it. Why didn't you go to Evander Kane and say, dude, maybe you'll be ready before the end of the year? Who gives a fuck? We both know you're only here for the playoffs, you know? We both know that you got a little screws loose in the brain, you know? You can go Google Evander Kane for yourself. I'm not here to criticize Evander Kane. I love the hockey player, Evander Kane. Big fan of him. But we both know people who are a little off in the head, which I'm one of them. It's playoff time. Let's show up for playoffs. Let's have you ready for playoffs this time instead of missing games because you got hurt in the regular season. And then he had that wrist injury the year before. So let's just make sure you're right for the playoffs. Let's sit this one out. And he's undergoing a major surgery. He qualified for LTIR. Like, we're fine. I just don't understand why they didn't do that. And in reality, it's a tomorrow problem. Like, even if, okay, let's say Kane's ready to go month before the end of the regular season, right? We got a month to go before the end of the regular season, and Kane's back. Let's just say that's the scenario. Who knows how long he's out for? But it's, rough guess, educated guess. Let's go with that. You're telling me nobody else on your team will be hurt by that time? Like, there's no saying Arvinsson's been hurt. Like, what if he's hurt? Like, what if Henrique's hurt? Like, you're gonna find the money somehow, some way. Find the money. Dump Kulak if you gotta. Like, I don't know. I totally disagree with losing Philip Broberg. I just think that's a total mistake. And the biggest problem Edmonton has had over the years is not McDavid. It's not Draisaitl. Their power play is the best in the league. It's been their goaltending and blue line isn't good enough. Well, taking Broberg ain't gonna fucking help that. He made your team better. We saw he made your team better. And not only did he make your team better, he made your team better playing on the offside. Let's go to the mainstream sports media stuff, I guess this doesn't even count as mainstream media. Maybe it does for Edmonton. I don't know. Anyway, this is Jason Gregor, big Oilers guy. We know this. If Jason Gregor is saying that the Oilers won't walk away, he's a total fanboy. And I don't have anything against him. I don't. I do listen to his show sometimes when he does the one with Sarah Volley, especially during the trade deadline. But can I just play this? Can we just play this?
I can understand the theory behind it and why a team would do it. But when you look at the teams that are going to offer sheet Philip Broberg, right? So
pause. I would have been one of them. And I probably would have beat everybody to the punch. But
let's say you offer him what? $4 million, right? Because if it's anything less, that's a real easy match for the Edmonton Oilers.
Correct. His offer sheet came in at 4.5, as we saw, which, again, if you go back to the post that I wrote, that's what I recommended, but we'll keep going.
So if you look at 4.5 mil, I think now if you offered him 4.55 or actually 4.75 mil, then you would have to give up 1 second round pick. Not very much, right? Would you do that for Philip Broberg and you get the contract? Yes. Would the Oilers walk away from 4.75? It would put them in a salary crunch, no question. But I don't think they'd walk away on that just to get a second rounder. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
If of all people, your biggest supporters out there are saying that it doesn't make sense. And by the way, this is before it happened. So this is hindsight. No hindsight bias. This is before they made the decision. If your biggest supporters out there are saying we wouldn't walk away from that, a second round pick, come on. Okay. I feel really bad for McDavid because once again, man, Jeff Jackson is doing a great job. And then